Today I wanted to sort of do a little bit of a different video and talk about how to find your personal aesthetic. And I mulled this over for a while and I wasn't really sure how to address it in a way that made sense. So I thought, and mostly I would just share what I did and how I got to here. Now, I will be the first to admit that this isn't probably where my final aesthetic will be. It might not. It's just, I'm 24. There's still a lot of time for growing, for changing, and that just means that my aesthetic will grow and change with me, like it has a bunch of other times. But today I wanted to cover about 5 steps. I found 5 steps that I wanted to talk about, and they're pretty basic. They're nothing crazy or hard to do, but I think they'll be a big help in figuring out your aesthetic. But first I wanted to cover some kind of like pain points, things that are important to keep in mind as you're finding your aesthetic. And the first is just that practice makes perfect. There is very few people who are going to find their aesthetic right off the bat and have that for the rest of their lives. And it might take a little bit of time before you find the one that you love. And also create your aesthetic, because I'm not talking about categorizing yourself and putting yourself into one of these well-known aesthetics like the clean girl or the coquette or any of those sort of things. I'm talking about your own aesthetic, something that is entirely yours and is made up of all the things that you like and all the things, and not doing things you don't like and that kind of stuff. It's about you, and that's it. It doesn't have to be categorized. I like to give mine a name because it just makes it easier to describe it to people, but I'm not talking about putting yourself in a category. It's more about helping you find yourself. The second is to always leave room for change. People grow as we get older, and you're never going to settle on one thing. For a lot of it, it might just be a general aesthetic, a feeling that you always have. For me, that's cozy. I always want it to feel cozy. I've never deviated from that. There's been a few times where I was so focused on what I wish I was that I kind of left that. But all the times where I was true to myself, it was being cozy. I wanted to feel warm and welcome all the time, and I wanted to feel comfortable, and that was important to me. So that's something that I stuck with. But my colors have changed a lot, and I mean a lot. I've gone from all the dark, rich colors, I've gone to no colors at all neutrals, which was a sad kind of time. And then I went into all pastels and I only wanted pink. And then it was, now I'm good with pretty much any color as long as I like it. And that's okay. The last is just don't forget comfort. Don't forget that you have to feel comfortable in that. And that doesn't mean that you have to wear oversized sweatshirts or anything like me. That just means that you have to feel comfortable in what you're wearing, in the room that you're in. You need to feel like you belong. You need to feel like this is somewhere you want to spend time, or clothes that you want to wear. And that's different for everybody. And for some that might be dresses all the times and heels, and others that might be combat boots, and that's totally fine. Just make sure that you are comfortable. Then the last thing is, don't narrow your aesthetic too much. don't put yourself in that box and feel like everything you do has to fit into that category. It's really important that when you're looking for your aesthetic, you don't, and even if you label it, don't make it so that every aspect of your life is governed by that aesthetic, that you feel like you can't have certain colors or have certain blankets or decorations because it doesn't fit into your aesthetic. Because anything you like should fit into your aesthetic, because it's your personal aesthetic. It's not the world's, it's not anybody else's. It's for you, and that means anything you like should fit into it. And it may be one of those things that it's hard to make it feel cohesive with everything else, but there's always a way. So now that we've gotten those out of the way, I want to cover the steps. So the very first step that you're gonna do is identify your likes and your dislikes. It's really simple like that. What are things you don't like? What are things that you love? For me, always light, bright colors. I want to feel like I'm not in some dungeon or anything. So I like to stick with my pastels, my lighter colors, but that doesn't mean that you get rid of the dark. There's some really dark colors that are like that. But it's about putting the ratio in right. So for me though, it's light colors, it's simple lines, it's warm tone woods, and it's cozy textures, and well, lots of textures. I'm very much a texture person, and usually with things that are either soft or are woven or something like that, those are the things that I like. For example, something I really hate is like ornate. Like, I don't want this feeling that I can't touch anything, and I don't want to feel like I'm living in a museum, you know? So I don't want pillars or really fancy designs on everything, because I would be terrified of chipping it, or some part of it is also because I can't imagine having to clean that, to have all those crevices that you have to get dust out of would just be a pain for me, especially as not particularly keen on cleaning. So that's some of the ideas for me. You find those things that you love, and that also goes for lifestyle. I'm not talking just about, you know, decorating your rooms or the clothes that you wear. For me, one of the things I love is beaches, and I don't mean like sandy, warm beaches. I mean the cold ones that you don't really want to take your shoes off for, and you wear oversized sweatshirts as the wind blows through your hair on a beach, and you can hear rustling of leaves from the trees that are sort of nearby. To me, that is something I love, and I love small town feels. I love the idea of being able to know everybody in your town, and you say hi to everybody when you're at the grocery store. I love those sort of things, and to me that is part of that style. It's everything that I want in life is what reflects in my personal aesthetic. And that's what I mean by identifying things that you like and dislike. I mean the style choices, the clothing that you like to wear, the lines and shapes and colors, but I also mean the scents that you love to smell, and the parts of your life that you enjoy the most, like going to pumpkin patches or things like that. After you've done that, I want you to find examples of that aesthetic. You know, the pictures on Pinterest. This is where you start creating your sort of mood board. I want you to find all of the examples of all of the aspects of you. Don't try to make it all look cohesive yet. Just find a bunch of examples. I want you to be able to visually see it in front of you and recognize at that point some of the things that don't quite fit yet or are realize that everything actually looks really good together already. Because oftentimes we gravitate towards a life that, is pleasing to us. It might not look great to everybody, but in your eyes, it's probably a wonderful looking board, and that's wonderful. That's where we go straight into step 3, which is mood board it, which is like my favorite thing in the world to do, is create mood boards. So I always recommend doing this for anything. It helps with planning parties, it helps plan anything, but especially figuring out your aesthetic, to find all of those pictures and put it all together. And this is where you get to actually think about yourself. This is all those pictures that you're going to take. You're going to say, these are the most close to what I want. And this is where you're going to find a few shopping things as well. This is where we're going to start going into that. Now I have mine here, and I have several different boards. I actually have one big one that's called aesthetic, and underneath that I have, outfits, bedroom, accessories, home interior, all of that sort of stuff, and then I have some just under the general. But I have a bunch of pictures, and I will be sure to put it up, and we'll show you. Here, I'll scooch over a little bit, and we'll put it over here, and I'll show you that. But that's what I have, and I'm going to show those. But that's where you create your board, where you take specific things that are, I love this is what I want, and put it into a board so you can see everything all into one place. The narrowed down specific, if I could make my room, it would look as close to this as possible. And this is where you would put in specific items. Maybe you found some while you were on Pinterest or something, and you're like, I love this lamp or this vase or something, and you would put that in there. Specific things that you could start incorporating into your room, into your life, so that you could get to that aesthetic. And then the next step 4 is to trial it. Now the best thing to do in that is your clothing. If you can't really trial bedroom decor, those are costly, things like that, but you can trial clothes, because you can go to the store and try them on without buying them. So that's where I would start with the clothing there, and go to the store and try them on. I mean, put together outfits that would fit into what you're thinking your aesthetic is, put them on, and see how you feel. And I don't mean, do I look wonderful in this? Lighting at any store is horrible. But do you feel comfortable in it? Do you feel like this is something I wouldn't mind wearing out? This is something I could put together fairly easily. This is something that I would choose to wear out of my clothes and all of the clothes in my closet. Is this something that I would do? And this is where it's important step in this is realistic. That's where it is. This is step 5, and that's making your adjustments. It's about being a little realistic at this point. Instead of imagining how your life would be, the things that you want, it's about figuring that out. It's about realizing that some things are different. Like one point, I was all about wearing dresses. I wanted to be girly. I still want to be girly. I love that. I love feeling feminine, and that's wonderful. But to me, for some reason that meant I had to be wearing dresses. I had to be wearing skirts and heels all the time. And I would have a ton of those things in my closet, and I would never put them on, ever. I hated wearing skirts. They're not comfortable to me. I just don't gravitate towards them. I wear them for church, and I wear them for very special occasions, like I'm going to the theater, or I guess maybe a date. But for me, I just never chose to wear them. So I had a closet full of things that I wish I was, that I wish I liked, and not what I actually liked, what I actually was, and what really reflected me. So now my closet, after some of that reflection and realization, is full of things like this: oversized sweaters, cozy textures. It's about flowy pants and comfortable. I want to be elegant, I want to be feminine, so I choose things with drop shoulders and things that are very gentle and soft, because that's what I want, is that gentle, that soft, that elegant nature, while also being in my oversized sweatshirts. And it's a little bit hard to find the balance between the two, but that's me. That is my reality, and I had to make those adjustments, and that's okay. But the thing is you do this step 1 through 5 all the time. It's gonna be something that you continually do as you grow older, as you learn new things about yourself. But that's how you're gonna find your aesthetic, your personal you aesthetic. What makes you in all aspects of your life is these steps of finding what you like, trying to see it in the world, and making adjustments to fit you, to be comfortable and part of your life, something that you will do all the time, not just on special occasions or anything like that. This needs to be something that is always you, something that you are always comfortable with. And if that means altering it a bit, that's okay. That's totally okay. I realize that a lot of people are probably the same as me, love their cozy, they love the oversized, they love that, but they might be a little bit more on the clunkier side of it. They want that more structured thing, and I like the more flowy. And that's where we're going to differentiate. That's where we're going to find our personal aesthetic, and that's a really good thing. But those are the steps, and I hope that this helps. I hope that this is an interesting video and that it worked out for you guys as something that will help you find you. It'll help you find your personal aesthetic. So, thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.